Good.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Hoof Podcast, Monday edition, week after or day after week 1 of the NFL. Man, I'm telling you, my body's so stiff today because I sat on my ass for 8 hours. I'm just not used to that anymore. I haven't really put in the time in the off season. You know what I mean?
That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed just being able to watch football. The time flew by, right? Yesterday was a quick day from the 1 o'clock on anyway, but the anticipation today is a lot stronger for obvious reasons, I think. So, yeah, you and I are definitely ready for that game.
Yeah, for sure. Love week 1 because it's like everyone has like these premeditated opinions about how the season's going to go, such as Anthony. The Giants are going to finish second in the division. Miami's going to finish third in the division. I think I said third. You said second, right?
I did.
But yeah, so it's a small sample size in week 1, but it's also like, oh, wow. Some teams always overperform. Some teams underperform. It takes about 4 to 5 weeks to really understand, like, okay, this team's for real this year, or this team's just, coming out the gate hot. But certainly Miami looked great. I feel like they looked the same as they did when they were in their prime last season, right? Before Tua's injury. I mean, they just came out and flinging the ball. Tyreek Hill just doing his thing, didn't really miss a beat, it seems like. But that offense
doing his
clicking
thing
all day.
Jeez.
Yeah,
just casual 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, blowing up fantasy matchups everywhere. Either you were unbelievably excited or heartbroken to learn that no matter how good your team did, you probably lost if you were going against a guy like Tyreek Hill in matchup this week. So, yeah, I do not have Tyreek Hill on any of my teams, by the way. So,
yeah,
not a big surprise,
back,
seeing as how mostly he goes in the top of the first round.
And it was a weird year in fantasy because I think I was the 4th pick overall. And it seems like the running back value is gone even in fantasy, right? Everyone's picking receivers. Justin Jefferson's first off the board. But I remember Tyreek Hill was there for me, but I ended up taking Travis Kelce just because he's ranked high. I kept reading, if you get a good quarterback and a good tight end, you're ahead of the group this year compared to past seasons. So now that hurts a little bit right now as we stand, but that's just how it's going to be. But also, like teams like the Giants, right? The other end of the spectrum, just not a single point. Yeah, that one's a little rough. But
that was really, really bad. I mean, I hope that, week 1, you can't overreact. We said this before. You can't overreact, but it doesn't get much worse than that for the New York Giants. So they can only go up from here, right? Even if they don't win a game all year, hopefully this will be the most embarrassing lowest moment for them. That's one of the worst matchups we've ever seen, I'd say.
Got embarrassed at home and the 9/11
at home
celebration. And celebration, but the ceremony. Also Cincinnati, right? Very surprising to score 3 points against a state rival, um, especially after your quarterback gets paid huge contract, right? 275 million, 5 years. I mean, you'd like to have him come out a little more hot than that. But I mean, also Burrow hasn't played in a long time. We did mention that in the preview show that he could come out flat, right? He missed most of the offseason with injury. Some other teams, Seattle, surprisingly bad, right?
Yep. Flat against the Rams. I mean,
Right.
yeah, a team most people thought would be one of the bottom of the league as well. Came out and played very well without their best player.
Right. Crazy. So yeah, we're going to jump into every game, and we have our picks from last week so we can hold ourselves accountable here, put it all out there for everybody. And we'll go through it, and then we'll maybe talk a little bit of, surprises, your pretenders, right? Who's going to continue to underperform? We'll dab a little bit into the rookie quarterbacks. I thought they had a pretty good week overall. And then we're going to get ready for the Bills game Monday night. So Anthony's got his suit on.
Yes, absolutely wearing the suit. It's opening day, baby. Can't wait till kickoff. Again, the time is ticking until we get there. But yeah, had to wear the suit. Had to.
Yeah, representing. It's definitely it's understandable, right? So
Hey,
have it.
got a couple looks when I went out of the house today, as you can imagine.
Just a couple. Must be not a lot of people out there today. All right, so let's jump in. All right, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to the Minnesota, and Tampa Bay comes out on top here, 20-17. Tampa Bay was +6. We both took Minnesota, so this one's actually going to be. We both missed on this one.
Yeah, we definitely did not get this one right. Yeah. One score game that goes not in Minnesota's favor. I mean, when's the last time we saw that? 2 years ago?
True, but yeah, Baker Mayfield, surprisingly decent day, right? 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, no interceptions at least. And no fumbles, right? I think the Vikings had 2 fumbles and an interception, so you kind of flipping around. Like I would have guessed the other way around, right? I would have guessed Baker would have had more turnovers than Kirk Cousins, but didn't work out that way today. Tampa Bay though, like everyone's down on them, but Mike Evans still there, right? Rashad White showing up for them. I mean, 17 carries and didn't get a lot of yardage with that, but seems like they have some productive players there, right? Mike Evans getting a touchdown, 66 yards. Chris Godwin getting involved, 51 yards for him. I mean, this is one of the best receiving corps still. You could take away Tom Brady, and I understand why people are down on their record, but this is still, a top 10 receiving corps in the league. Can you hear me? All right, Anthony's having a little trouble, but we'll move on to the next game here with Carolina Panthers 10 at the Atlanta Falcons 24. Both of us picked the Atlanta Falcons and ended up being right on that one, as Carolina was +3.5.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry about that. Cut out. I don't know what happened, but back. So yeah, Atlanta here, I thought they played as expected against an inferior opponent, mostly in their division, and had a couple of their young guys shine, which is what we wanted to see out of this Falcons team, who a lot of people picked to win the division. Many picked them as a playoff team, but certainly much improved, maybe the most improved team from last year, really, in terms of what they did in the offseason, both through the draft and free agency, to bolster their ability to win games.
Yeah, and you mentioned the improvement. Bijan Robinson, I mean, looked great, right? I didn't get a lot of carries, didn't get a lot of yardage, but I mean, you saw the ability, right? On the touchdown play, he had 3 people miss, broke 3 tackles. I mean, that's just impressive, right? And that's what you expect from a rookie coming in with top 10 pick. So, I mean, I think he's a difference maker for this team. I think he's going to continue to get better every single week. And the other big thing was, Desmond Ridder taking care of the football, right? 15 for 18, 115 yards passing, and a touchdown, no picks. A little trouble with the sacks, right? But overall, decent day for him, right? In his first start of 2023.
Yeah, and Carolina, they still have a lot to build on. At least they didn't get shut out in this game. It was pretty competitive actually throughout most of the game. So, you know, eh, your rookie quarterback, he's going to have to learn and grow throughout the season. Yes, things to build on. Certainly not a stellar performance or anything, but I think both of these teams met expectations in this game, I would say.
Yeah, I mean it's Bryce Young's first NFL game. I mean you can expect bumps in the road, but I thought he had poise, throughout the day. Um, the 2 interceptions, that's almost expected in your first start, and I really wanted to see more of. They didn't really get a lot of Jonathan Mingo involved. Kind of hoping to see more there. I mean, I think he'll get more involved as they go, but really, not a lot of production in the passing game for them. Right? They're Hayden Hurst, the tight end, was the most productive receiver, 41 yards. Right? So you expect that to grow, especially with the system they run there with Frank Reich. I mean, I would expect the passing game to get better as they go. All right, moving on to the next one here. One of the surprises of the week, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. I picked the Browns. Anthony obviously went with the Cincinnati Bengals with the rest of the country. But again, we talked about it, right? Joe Burrow, injury, didn't play a lot in the offseason, didn't see him in the preseason, handling business with the contract. I mean, expect a slower start, right? I expected that. On the flip side, the Cleveland Browns, I mean, we had Deshaun Watson. Like it's time, buddy. Like you've had more than enough time to acclimate to the NFL from your time off. I mean, they still have Nick Chubb. Their roster is absolutely stacked for Cleveland, right? We saw that with Amari Cooper, Myles Garrett still there showing up, had some great plays, and really just the Cincinnati Bengals just didn't look comfortable all day. Right, missing throws. Denzel Ward is all over.
Certainly,
the receivers. T. Higgins shut out from a catch.
God, yeah, really bad from a fantasy perspective. You're really mad at the Bengals if you have any of their players. But the weather really had an impact on this game. Very wet, very messy. Burrow having trouble gripping the ball. Players having trouble on the field, slipping. Everything certainly favors a run game oriented team or short passes. And Cleveland has a really good defense. I don't want to discount that either, right? They were able to get the pass rush and make Burrow uncomfortable on top of the weather, which didn't add up very well for the Bengals, as we saw. Burrow had to be lifted early in this game because it was mostly a blowout, and you don't want to get him hurt or anything. And the Browns showed up. They were able to play their game. Deshaun Watson didn't have a stellar performance, and the team overall, there's no superstars that glowed, but we said this in our preview shows where we picked the divisions, top to bottom. The division is very, very competitive. It's going to change a lot. And the roster of the Cleveland Browns is one of the best in the NFL. And they came out and proved that in this tough, fight it out game where you really needed to grind. And this one went in favor of Cleveland. But if we did this 3 more times, I don't think it would end up the same exact way. I think it would end up splitting how these types of games turned out. And Cincinnati is a good team. They're going to rebound. They're going to be just fine. Don't forget Burrow was coming off the injury and still getting into the swing of things too. I think they will be right there when the season is over. I'm not overreacting to this. But it's tough. It's tough to come in there and get punched in the face and, your division rival just beats you top to bottom from the opening kickoff to the end of the game.
Yeah, just 142 yards of total offense for the Cincinnati Bengals. Currently 30th in the league. 2 games yet to be played. That's only 2.6 yards per play. Just very uncharacteristic of Cincinnati. And 75 yards of that 142 came from the running game, right? So extremely uncharacteristic, especially with the receiver talent that they have. Didn't seem to get Jamar Chase going. T. Higgins shut out, like we mentioned. I mean, just really hats off to Cleveland. I thought the defense played great. They came out hyped. Fan base was hyped. So yeah, I think Cleveland is a team to keep an eye on, right? They can be a sneaky team this year, but also we say that every year, and ends up being the same result, right? So could this be the year where they, kind of change the narrative in Cleveland? All right, next one, the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. I picked the Texans.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I picked the Ravens. You picked the Texans.
With the points, yeah.
Houston was plus 10, right? So not a bad thing. I just rookie quarterback. Uh, I went with
Sure.
Baltimore just because of the the hype around them and the talent around them versus the rookie quarterback in Houston.
Yes, yeah, and I thought this game was, too close for Baltimore, right? It's certainly the final score doesn't reflect what happened in this game. Houston had a few chances to get back in it, but in reality, their roster just isn't quite there yet, and Baltimore is a much better team top to bottom, but, they did stay competitive a lot closer than people thought. Baltimore didn't look amazing in this game. They had a few plays that, allowed them to take the lead and keep the lead and maintain enough to win the game. But certainly, I wouldn't think that Baltimore is happy, satisfied. I would say you're always happy with a win in the NFL, satisfied with how well they did in this game. And the Texans obviously aren't either because they lost, but building on what they have and kind of starting to go in the right direction of, can we put it together on both sides of the ball with the rookie quarterback? They got a lot of pieces involved on offense, which was good, but just couldn't rack up the yardages and the plays needed to put the points on the board to stay in it with Baltimore. And the J.K. Dobbins injury again, that's horrible to see. The fact that the guy has been injured over the last 2 seasons, and then once again comes out, scores a touchdown, and then uh, tears his
Yeah,
Achilles. Was that what it was?
yeah,
Achilles,
I
and
think it was
then is
Achilles.
out
Yeah,
for the year.
yeah, you
Yeah,
hate to
again,
see that.
just horrible.
The guy's a good running back when he plays, but this is just it's on repeat every year, right? First 4 games gets injured. I hate to see it, but I think it's got to be looking at is he going to be is he going to be coming back to Baltimore, right? I think it's that conversation needs to happen. That um, the injuries happening every year. It's just really hard to recover from that and get back to full speed. And now it's at the point where I just think maybe football's not for him, or maybe give it a shot somewhere else. But I don't think we see him in Baltimore next season. Zay Flowers, on the other hand,
Very good. Yeah.
9 receptions out of 10 targets, 78 yards. I mean, very productive day for. I thought all the rookie receivers had a productive day, but really productive day for his first NFL game. That's usually gets up. Takes a little bit to get up to speed, but a guy as talented as Zay Flowers, he's in there day one, right? The other thing, Baltimore. Last point, just the turnovers by Lamar Jackson. He had one interception and a fumble loss. Just got to clean that stuff up. Expect him to do that, I would say. And then, as they go forward, I think this is a team to keep an eye on as well, right? They handled their business, even with a little bit of sloppy play.
Yeah.
Came out in the second half and just,
And we know,
started clicking for him.
like you said, Zay Flowers ends up being the rookie with an amazing start to his career. And clearly he's already built chemistry and has the ability to make plays in the NFL. So that's important. But, the tight end didn't play in this game, Andrews. And
Yep,
he is a
good point.
target that we know Lamar depends on and really relies on and likes and has that chemistry with. So they're only going to get better in that aspect of their offense when they're fully healthy.
Yeah, and I thought, CJ Stroud on the other side for Houston, I thought he played a pretty good game, right? They really had problems protecting him, and maybe he's not understanding the protections, not calling the protections. Sometimes you see that quarterback play early on. It takes a while to get the terminology to recognize certain things, move the back over, move the tight end over. But definitely a miscommunication there between the line and the quarterback with 5 sacks by Baltimore. But yeah, overall decent day for CJ Stroud. Just had the one fumble loss, but 28-44, 242 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. At this point, with a rookie quarterback, you just want to see him improve every week, right? I'm sure Houston fans are thinking that same thing. You just want to see him improve every week and maybe compete in some games along the way, right? But I think CJ Stroud looked pretty good, made some good throws. Defensive side of the ball, like I said, 5 sacks for Baltimore. I just wanted to point out that this linebacking core is just hard to deal with, right? Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, um, those 2 guys. I mean, those are premier linebackers, and that showed in this game, right? 16 combined tackles for Roquan Smith. Talked about that, leading into the season, how he's had a full off season with Baltimore. Now you're starting to see that production on the field. I just think he's going to be a difference maker for them as the season continues.
Grow and maintain, right? That's all you're hoping to. As the Texans, you're still in rebuild mode. To be at least a game that was watchable throughout for the Texans, I think is a good start for them already to the year.
Yeah,
better than where they've been the past couple of years, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Will Anderson, getting in there, got a sack, 6 tackles combined.
Nice.
And 1 for a loss. So I mean, that's pretty good start for him.
That
as
rookie
well.
going. Yep.
Yeah, so Houston, they could be one of those teams late in the year that starts to get figured out, right? The rookies get up to speed, start getting things right, start competing, right? So I'd keep an eye on them as well. All right, next one, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. This is one of your best bets. We both picked Jacksonville at -5 and both won on this one. Anthony Richardson, though, decent day. I mean, the kid looked good, right? Came out, he's a big guy. That's the first thing I noticed is watching him, and he's just running people over. I think on one of the plays he got injured, running too hard a little bit, right? And you'll have that because I think when you have the talent like that, you just like get a little bit arrogant with it, and you're like, oh, I can definitely get this 2 yards for a touchdown, right? But that's something you got to manage in the NFL. But that's one thing I definitely noticed he's got to pay attention to because he has all the ability. It's a lot like Josh Allen, right? All the ability in the world. You got to teach him to control it, right? That's good problems to have for Indianapolis, but I thought he had a pretty decent day as a.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly did way better than what my expectations were given the roster in front of him. He's not playing with the star running back on that team. We all know that situation at this point. Jonathan Taylor, question mark. Now he says he's coming back week 5, whether it's to play with Indy or maybe a trade happens before then. Lots of rumors still flying around that situation. But for him to come in and stay focused on the roster he does have, working with the players that are there. And again, I think for a rookie quarterback to make this game way more competitive than most thought it would be, including myself, was fun to watch, was fun to see. And he does have all of the physical characteristics to be an elite quarterback, right? And you just hope that he's able to learn and grow and put that together for this team to make it an even more competitive and fun, league and division, even with specifically in this case, the opponent on the other side, Trevor Lawrence, who's there for the long term now. And certainly came out and played very, very well. I thought, could have cleaned up a couple things, but week 1, I mean, you couldn't ask for much more against kind of an inferior opponent, right? Most say the Colts are one of the worst rosters defensively and offensively at this point.
I've definitely heard that.
They made me nervous for a little while, right? Jacksonville was -5, and a couple of the times I'm like, man, Indy had the lead at one point. It went back and forth. So
it was 21-17 in the third quarter. Yeah.
But the huge thing here is this was a win for my best bets of the week. They did cover that. They won by 10. It was only -5. So comfortable again with the final score of this one.
Yeah, Jacksonville scores 14 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
put this one away.
How about Kelvin Ridley, man?
Yeah, he's always been talented
for him too. Yes, and I think a lot of people underestimated the fact that he missed a year. We forgot about him, especially in fantasy drafts and all that. But I'm telling you, this guy could be a legit receiver, and he has the speed, and he's clearly now the number 2, and kind of pushed others down the roster. So it's interesting to see how they have plenty of weapons at Jacksonville now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Not like top tier, elite, amazing, but very good weapons, and that's a good place to be if you're Trevor Lawrence.
Right, and I think from what we saw from Trevor Lawrence, he knows how to get Calvin Ridley the ball. Right, that's an improvement. I think he'll continue to get better too. I mean, a lot of people have expectations for Trevor Lawrence to be one of the better quarterbacks in the AFC. We've talked about their schedule being lighter than most. So I think Yeah, this is a team to watch out for. And Kelvin Ridley showcasing it day one, 8 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Um, I think he's going to continue to get better week in and week out as well. So yeah, I think Jacksonville's on track, and then they showed it in the fourth quarter of this game, right? All right, next one here we got the Arizona Cardinals at the Washington Commanders. Another one got you shaking a little bit, because Arizona was like up most of the game.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, we both took Washington with the points, so this is a loss for both of us. Another best bet.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This was a game where I'm still dumbfounded. All right. The Arizona Cardinals are playing NFL football with a high school roster. And Washington should be very embarrassed with the outcome of this game on all fronts. Right. There was turnovers. It was sloppy. I mean, you almost lost to a team that doesn't want to win games. Right. And the team that almost won is thinking, my God, we forgot we don't want to win this game, and ended up losing, right? So that's what I feel like happened. They had a huddle in the fourth quarter and said, like, hey guys, remember, we're not actually trying to win the game. So let's slow down a bit here. And then Washington scored to win it. Yeah, I mean, they were only -7 in this game, Washington was, and I thought they should have won by 20 points. And they end up only winning by 4. So this is the only loss of my best bets. Spoiler alert so far. We have one more, obviously, in the Bills game tonight was one of my picks. So, but the only loss so far, and it was a frustrating one because Washington should have crushed them, and Arizona is in a place where, again, they're not trying to win. They should have easily been rolled on, and I don't even think they got an offensive touchdown, and they scored 16 points. So that's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'll have to check on that. I have to find the kicker stats. But yeah, I don't see any touchdowns in the stat line here. But I do see 2 fumbles lost for Joshua Dobbs. That definitely hurt the team. Marquise Brown, kind of a quiet day. I mean, he seems like the premier person there. Zach Ertz, quiet day, right? He's back from injury. But yeah, expect him to get more production as they go. But really, just like I feel like they're missing that the playmakers that they used to have, DeAndre Hopkins, right? They really who's the premier talent on this offense for Arizona? I think it's Marquise Brown at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's the only player worth mentioning.
Yeah.
And James Conner, the running back, was just like the, whipping horse out there. Okay,
Right.
yeah, give him the ball, let him let him run it 3 times and then we'll punt, basically.
Yeah. Sam Howell debut, right, for 2023. 2 turnovers for him. 6 sacks. That's kind of the big one there is, again, those protections, got to have that ready when the defenses are blitzing and coming at you. So yeah, a little adjustment period there for him. They didn't get the running game going as much as I thought they would with Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. That's a nice 1-2 punch they could add there, but yeah, maybe because they were down early, they stuck it out with the passing game, and basically just ran one back. 19 attempts for Robinson. Gibson only 2 attempts.
Yeah, a little bit surprised by the split there. But I don't know the health situation of these guys. I don't think either was on the injury report, but yeah, I was a little surprised with the workload there. McLaurin, we know, is dealing with an injury. So on the passing side of things, we kind of knew he's their number one guy really on offense, I would say. And yeah, they certainly have a lot to improve on. And in that division, it's not looking good unless they take a big step. And they were without a big defensive piece too, so maybe they'll improve overall, but we have yet to see anything like that from Washington, given where they were last year and continuing not to live up to the potential that defense has. And in a game,
right.
Yeah, certainly not starting on the momentum in the direction you wanted. They got the win. Again, NFL, you're happy with that, but not the momentum they were looking for.
Right, but a win's a win, and they're off to a good start, right? A lot of people have expectations for them. I've heard it.
Yeah, people picked them to make the playoffs, which is crazy. You and I both had them in 4th place in the division.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the talent in the NFC East. It's just looking at the quarterbacks, and Daniel Jones at the time we thought would be a little better than week 1, but yeah, I just you got to have the quarterback to win, right? And that's what it comes down to for me. So let's move on to the next one here. The San Francisco 49ers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I took the bait. I fell for it. There was off-season hype with the Steelers because they had a good preseason. There's always one team that sneaks in there,
Ay, ay, ay.
And for me, it was Pittsburgh. I thought they'd at least try, get the running game going. You got some nice receiving options there. They always play decent defense. I thought they'd sneak one out at home. But no, San Francisco came out prepared. They looked sharp on offense, sharp on defense, and Pittsburgh just could not get the running game going. And then, the turnovers killed them, right? 2 interceptions for Kenny Pickett. So.
Yeah, and the 49ers are one of the best teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the game that I said, like, this is the most egregious. I think San Francisco could win by 20. Well, they won by 23. And it was quite the blowout start to finish. Again, not a great start for the Steelers. And really San Francisco putting themselves out there saying, look, we are that bad. How about Brock Purdy? Probably the most disrespected player in the NFL these days is Brock Purdy. Oh, he doesn't deserve to be a starter. Oh, what has he shown? I don't care if he was, a bum on the street corner. When they put him in at quarterback, the dude was 7-1 and won with that team and did everything right? He didn't make mistakes. He won. And now you put him out there again and he wins. So can we end that narrative? Anybody who ever said Brock Purdy is not good enough or shouldn't be the starter doesn't watch football. I don't care what the stats say. I don't care what he did in college. I don't care about anything. You put him in that NFL field and he plays. That's what matters, especially in this offense with this team. He's not mistake prone. He can get to the guys. He knows when to, throw it away or do whatever. He's smart. That's what this offense needs. And he proved it out there against a pretty good, Steelers defensive line. So it's not like he wasn't placing everybody out there, but they got to him a couple times. But
not trying to take anything away from Brock Purdy because I do think he's a smart quarterback, like you said, takes care of the football. That's what they like about him most. And when you have a really talented roster like San Francisco, you just need the guy who can, be somewhat productive in the passing game and not turn the ball over. And he's certainly that guy. But man, I think I could play quarterback in this game with Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown. I feel like they could trot a lot of guys out there.
Yeah, what did
he have? A Christian McCaffrey who's healthy,
65-yard run. Yeah,
right. It just that helps a whole lot. But
they stuffed him a few times. It really kept him slow. But sooner or later, a guy that good is going to break away, and that's what we saw in this game with him. He looked just
very good. Yeah, so that's a team to really keep an eye on. Deebo Samuel healthy, right, getting back in the action, and then Brandon Ayuk looking sharp, right?
So caught everything in that game. He looked amazing in that first half.
Yeah,
just lit it up.
I remember the draft process. We always talked about how long his arms were and how unique that was, right? And you start to see some of that stuff.
Yeah,
he's got serious hands. Just one more thought on Pittsburgh. Got to get something going with this run game, man. It was so bad last year, and now it's carried over to this year. And mind you, you're playing one of the better defenses in the league, right? So I'm not going to discount it right now. But
that's okay. But
it's a concern, though. If you're a Pittsburgh fan, that's a big concern.
I have been low.
Quarterback like Kenny Pickett, you got to have a good run game, in my opinion.
In all my fantasy drafts, I have been very low on Najee Harris, avoiding him like the plague. And I told people why. I don't think he's going to have a good year. I think he could lose the starting job to Jaylen Warren eventually later on in the year.
Yep.
And it's just because they can't get it going, whether it's his fault or not. They have to try and change it up and do something. So, it's not looking good in that Pittsburgh run game right now, but we know they're going to stick to it. They're going to find a way to get yards, whether it's with a different personnel or they love the ground and pound game. They're not going to rely on pass. Although I heard a lot of hype around Pickett as well, like this offseason. And I'm like, okay, this guy has not shown me. For all the hate Brock Purdy got, Pickett got all this praise and has nothing to show for it. So, show me in the real games when it counts, and then I'll start believing.
Right. Well, it's back to the rush game real quick. It's 20-7 at halftime. It's 27-7 in the third quarter. So, they just had to abandon the run game and throw it all on Pickett. So that's some of it as well. But moving on to the next one here, Tennessee at the New Orleans Saints. We both took the Saints to win by 3. And kind of a tough game, right? Back and forth. Not a lot of scoring. Tannehill had a horrendous day. But Derrick Henry bailed him out, right? We thought maybe Tennessee would pull away. But the Saints come back and win. Or get the lead and keep the lead, right?
literally, it's almost like I wrote the script here, although Tennessee was +3. So we did lose this pick because New Orleans didn't win by more than 3 points. They only won by 1.
Mhm.
And it was heartbreaking because I was watching the end of this game and they had the third down. They just needed to kick the field goal, and instead they went for it and got the first down and then took a knee. So I was like, no, kick the field goal. Yeah, it was close, but they ended up winning it in the end. And yeah, Tennessee, Derrick Henry doing Derrick Henry things. I think my expectation for Derrick Henry were to be Derrick Henry, and my other expectation is that he won't be a Tennessee Titan by the end of the season. But can we talk about Tannehill and how bad he was and 3 turnovers? And you and I discussed this multiple times. Who's going to be the quarterback next, right? And how soon is it going to happen? Do they put Malik Willis out there for a little bit and say, is this our guy? Or are they going to go to the rookie?
It's got to be a short leash at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they're playing Tannehill because they think they have a good roster, right? You got DeAndre Hopkins,
and you have the
Traylon
veteran
Burks in another year.
Sure.
You have Derrick Henry. You don't need it's the Brock Purdy conversation again. You just need a guy to be somewhat productive and not turn the ball over. But when you come out and you throw 3 interceptions,
exactly
16 of 34, your quarterback rating's at 28. You just can't have that, especially because there's 2 decent quarterbacks. At least they have potential. 2 quarterbacks with potential right behind you. I think
rather
the leash
than
is
later.
short.
Rather than later, they've got to make a change. It's
got,
and I assume they would go to Willis first. I don't know.
I think it'd be Will Levis.
You would think.
I really think Malik Willis' arm talent, not his arm talent, but his
okay.
I don't even want to say football IQ.
I mean,
he's like he won't throw it over the middle. Why?
We'll see. Right. We'll see what they end up doing. Then maybe they stick with Tannehill for another game or 2, and when they start 0-3, then it's like, okay, we got to try something else. And then it's just a matter of again, having more experience in the league or going with the rookie and saying, you know what, we got nothing to lose. Let's do it. Right. And if he's ready, they know internally, right, with the rookie, is he ready to play? Not that he's not, physically capable, but just learning and taking in the NFL, it's different for all sorts of guys. And ideally you sit a guy for a whole year to let him learn. But we'll see how it floats out there.
Yeah, I think we'd see one of those 2 guys here in the next few weeks. For New Orleans, Derek Carr, still above average.
Yeah.
Had a very above average day, 23 of 33, 305 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Getting Jamal Williams going, 18 rushes for him. Expect to see him more in the red zone, but New Orleans, they're an interesting team. I mean, I expected them to be a little more balanced, but they couldn't seem to get the running game going, but definitely played some good defense.
Tennessee's defense is pretty legit too. We know that. But
that's true.
Like Derek Carr on that final drive as well. Very efficient, very good. The announcers were on point with what they were talking about, saying like, this is what Derek Carr came to the Saints for. He knew this was a good roster. He knew he could be the guy to kind of lead them and be the one in these moments to do what they've kind of been falling off in the last couple of years, which is win those close, tight games and do what needs to be done in those moments. And that's what they did. And like I said, it ended up being, they got another first down and didn't have to kick the field goal and game was over. They controlled that final drive.
Yeah, good point there. And the Saints are going to win like this, right? They feel like a grinded out team to me. They're not going to be overly explosive or anything like that, but I think they're one of the better teams that are going to be able to grind it out this season. But all right, next one here we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the New England Patriots. Big Tom Brady celebration in New England, right? Philly was -4, so we both win this one, and this was a best bet, another successful best bet. So this game though, it was close. I don't know if you saw the last drive.
I watched the entire game start to finish. My buddy who was over is an Eagles fan, so we stayed on that channel for this one. And it was way closer. He was not happy as an Eagles fan. He didn't think that they lived up to their potential in that game, and they certainly tried to give it away a few different times.
Yeah,
their defense was very good. Their offense was inefficient, and DeAndre Swift, where was he? You traded for this guy, and I think he played like 4 or 5 snaps and didn't get the ball.
Yeah.
So it was very unusual. Not that Kenneth Gainwell played decent. He got the ball and made yardage, and after that first drive, I'm like, maybe they're going to do like an alternating this guy, that guy type of thing, but it didn't end up that way. And maybe they're, I don't know. Maybe they're saving him for something, but it was very unusual there. And they seemed to move away from what was working. Jalen Hurts. Now, remember, this is a new offensive coordinator. So, what I kept telling him was like, hey, it's his first time being an offensive coordinator. They're going to go through some bumps and bruises, but they'll find their efficiency and get it going better. But their defense was awesome. It was just fun to watch those guys. They could have done better on a few of the pass plays. Mac Jones, though, we know how he operates. He's very efficient, right? He's going to find the open guy, get dink and dunk, get 8 yards. He's not going to bomb. He took a few bombs down the field, and they worked out exactly how you thought. A fan caught it pretty much. So it was not a good pass, not good passes when they were in that situation. But New England hung in this game way too much. So the whole time I was like,
you got to give them credit. I mean, they're hanging with this super talented.
Their defense is really good.
Team, right? Right. Yeah. But and it was a big night for them, right? Opening night. Tom Brady in the house. And they played.
That even makes it even better that they lost.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I mean,
ring the bell every time, Tom. Come on.
But yeah, I thought their passing game overall was pretty productive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to hang in game. They're going to be 8-9, 9-8. They're going to be in the mix.
Hunter Henry
always are. And Hunter Henry looks healthy.
Did Hunter
right?
Henry
Mike Gesicki over there now. I mean, those are two guys who can really, get those possession catches. Hunter Henry's a little more vertical, which is another element to the offense.
He made some amazing catches in this game.
Yeah, and I think the receiving core is, they're improved this year. Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne still there, Kayshon Butte. I mean,
while we're on the tight end topic too, while New England, Hunter Henry had, I would say, his best game as a New England Patriot, and Dallas Goedert, I think, only had one target in the game and nothing, right? No production there, which is very unusual there too, because he's a very good tight end for them, especially in the red zone. I thought they were going to target him again. Right. I think this could be attributed to the offensive coordinator trying to find the right flow, getting to know.
Right. They do have new coordinators there. Yeah, that's a good point.
You got to remember that Goddard is a reliable target, so I'm not sure. Maybe he was just covered too much, but there was definitely a few plays where I was like, it should have went to Goddard there. And Hurts did his thing. I thought he played well, not amazing, but did what he could to make sure that the Eagles stayed in it. And their defense is really what slammed the door. They went for it late on fourth down to try and get, and they didn't get the fourth down and turnover with like 2 minutes left to New England, down by 5. Oh man, that you don't get much worse nervous than that.
Adjusted to the NFL and put 2 feet down, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Right. I think they would have been within I think it was the 15-yard line or 10-yard line, but they would have been right there, took a few shots at the end zone and, probably could have pulled it off. So this is a down to the wire game. New England, you got to tip your hat to them. They played well against a really talented roster, right? All right, next one here. The Raiders at the Denver Broncos. I took the Raiders. You took the Broncos. Las Vegas was plus 3.5. So thank you.
Womp womp.
But yeah, we did see an improved Russell Wilson, which I think is intriguing. But it wasn't overly flashy or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really a grinded out game. Both teams played well. I thought Jimmy Garoppolo came out and played pretty well. Devontae Adams was tearing them up most of the day. A lot to like about the Raiders team. Josh Jacobs get involved. But yeah, just a pure rival game, right? Just gutting it out, and that's what the NFL is all about. I think this was a really fun one.
Yeah, I have a few friends who went to this game. It didn't turn out the way they wanted because Broncos lost. But I was a little disappointing. I mean, it's game 1 of the season, Peyton's first game there. And Russell Wilson had a decent day. I would have, if I saw just the stat line, I would have been like, oh, Broncos won this game, right? But I think it was their defense that kind of disappointed a little bit. I mean, 17 points is nothing to, get upset about, but giving up the big plays when they counted, and that's the difference in this game, right? In those moments that mattered most, the Raiders were able to step up and the Broncos kind of gave it up. And so, I mean, they had a chance to come back and win, but the Raiders held on. So I did not think I thought the Raiders were one of the worst teams in the NFL right now, but they come out with a win.
And they play in a tough division.
Correct.
Right? That's a lot.
Yeah. And that is definitely a part of it. And this is another one where there's going to be some flipping within the division before it's all said and done in the standings, but these two are definitely fighting for the bottom comparatively to the, Chargers and Chiefs. But yeah, good start for the Raiders. Surprising start. If they can get their 2 stars going, man, there's not a lot of teams that they won't be able to compete with.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, they're right on both these teams are right on the edge, but there's a long ways to get to the Chargers or the Chiefs of the world, right? But I think one of these 2 teams could sneak in, right? Looks like the Raiders are the ones out the gate, though. All right, LA Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. We both picked the Seahawks. LA was plus 5.5, and the Rams just came out and
stomped on them,
scoring a whole bunch of points. Did you see the video of Geno Smith when Aaron Donald was a free rusher coming at him? Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my god. I think that's what all of us would do in that situation. You look down and there's a train coming at you.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really funny actually. But it puts some reality on the NFL. You see that guy. They're big athletes. Geno Smith's no freaking tiny guy, really. And
right.
But when you see Aaron Donald, an unbelievable human being in terms of his size, coming at you and just freely, you're just like hot potato. You take this ball. I don't want. That was good. But
really, story of the game is Matt Stafford extremely efficient in this game.
Oh my god, yeah,
especially with 2 really young
without
receivers.
Cooper Kupp.
Is it Naku?
I have no idea, to be honest, but
it's
not Cooper Kupp. That's who it is.
Yeah.
So that's
and Tutu Atwell as well, both over 100 yards.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Not Cooper Kupp. Good, yes, that's true. But yeah, it is unbelievable. That's a testament to the coaching, right? I thought he was having troubles connecting with these guys, but they look pretty connected to me.
Right. We heard a lot about them, but this is, obviously the rumors are not as true as people were saying, because the chemistry is there, obviously, on the field at least, and that's where it matters. I don't care if they're buddy at home or whatever, but they can communicate on the field and they get the job done. And Seattle is more surprising to me, right? Because this is a team who put themselves on the map again last year, who improved in the offseason, who has, in my mind, the best offensive weapons in the NFL. And I don't say that lightly. You look at their 3 wide receivers, you look at both of their running backs. I would take that lineup with whatever quarterback, to see what they could do. They couldn't get the run game going as efficiently. There was too much pressure on Geno Smith. That offensive line has to improve. I mean, I don't know if they got to bring in other guys or what, start scooping guys off practice squads and seeing what sticks. But, a lot of pressure on Geno. It certainly will not be, that they can improve from here, right? This is not going to be what they are all year. I don't think this is not one of those games that I'm overreacting to. I think the Rams showed that they are legit and that we do need to respect them more. But I don't think this means Seattle is a dud and they're not going to be in the playoffs and they're not going to be good enough, because again, top to bottom, they have the bodies. They are that good, and they've proven what they can do when they're clicking right. And I think the Rams just had their number in terms of how to get that offense off of its rhythm. And then they were always playing to come back after that, right? The Rams took a lead. The Rams had all of the momentum in this game, really. Anytime I tuned in, it was just like, boom, all Rams, right? So Seattle just couldn't get it going. And sometimes you have games like that. Hopefully for them, this is one of their worst of the season. And again, they can build on it and go up from here.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think Seattle's definitely poised to make a run, whereas the Rams would surprise us week in and week out. But with that coaching staff and that quarterback in LA, it's definitely feasible, right? All right, moving on. We got a couple more. Let's go. Game of the week, in my opinion, Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Chargers. This one just came down to the wire, but you took Miami. Miami was +3. I took the Chargers. Could have went either way, but best bet
the analysis
for you, and Miami wins it.
The analysis was point on for me that this game was going to be close, so I took Miami with the points for that reason. Ideally, Miami would have lost by 1 or 2 points, and I would have won the bet, and Miami would have lost the game. Win-win situation. But I'm happy, with the outcome. Obviously, for my best bets, it's a win. That's what matters most. But yeah, this game back and forth, down to the wire, kicking a field goal, missing extra points. I mean, it had everything you would want to see in an exciting NFL high scoring game.
Yeah, these stat lines are insane too.
Yeah, and both quarter. I mean, we know these rosters are capable of this, right? So that's not the surprising part. I think it's more the defense, right? We've talked about this Chargers defense. They signed everybody under the freaking sun who was a star, and they still gave up 36 points. Like, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. That's bad. That's embarrassing. I don't care who's on the other side. Your defense
they played pretty decent,
what?
but Tyreek Hill just smoked them.
Yeah.
Look, if Tyreek Hill's not on the Dolphins, the Chargers win this game by 20 points.
Okay, so you take away their best offensive player, and then you say like they wouldn't be as good.
But I mean, you're trying to say their roster's bad. They should have played better.
No,
but like
no,
they played great.
They did not live up to the roster. You gave up 36 points. Yeah, Tyreek Hill every single time. You couldn't put more bodies on him. Look at the cornerbacks they brought in, the safeties, the pass rush, whatever you want up and down that defense. They should be better than this. Period. You don't give up 36
they had some nice
points.
Plays too. But man, Tyreek's just different, man. Nobody can stop him in the entire league.
Yeah.
He's different.
And props to Tua for playing well with him. I thought Tua played efficiently. He didn't make too many mistakes. He did what he has to do to win games.
Came out a little slow, but started turning it on, and that's Mike McDaniels, right? Stay foot to the pedal to the metal all the time, right? And it's gas all the time. It's aggressive all the time. And if Tua misses or gets cold, it's okay because he's gonna keep calling those long shots, keep calling the deep balls. So yeah, I mean, they look for real. They definitely do. 466 yards passing for Tua, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Pretty efficient day overall. Tyreek Hill, like I said, 215 yards receiving. He looks the same. It's just such a difference maker. 2 touchdowns on the day.
A lot of crooked numbers put up in week 1 by guys, and Tyreek Hill was certainly at the heart of that. 2 touchdowns, right? 2 touchdowns and 200 yards. Unbelievable. I'd like to see Stephon Diggs do that tonight, by the way, and I'll win a couple of my leagues. So, yeah.
But with the Chargers, though, where's the firepower, right? Let's get this rookie going. Quentin Johnson, let's get him involved. I mean, he's supposed to be putting them over the top. Mike Williams, I think, dealt with an injury again. Keenan Allen looked pretty good, pretty efficient, but Josh Palmer, 1 target. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get this thing going. And really, the Chargers had a chance to win it, but just couldn't. Made a couple stupid mistakes in the final drive. Herbert had that intentional grounding. But yeah, man, this is definitely the game of the week. It was a lot of fun.
It was back and forth, close. Go ahead.
I'll say I'm high on the Chargers, right? I think they played really well against a really good team. So I think both these teams are going to be pretty premier in the AFC. And this is why
I'm high on Santa Claus too, but until you see it, I'm not believing it. Okay. So that's the problem with the Chargers all the time. You can't trust what they're doing until they can show it. And this is one of their more competitive games, right? You had to beat Miami if you're the Chargers, because you still have to play those divisional games that are going to be a lot tougher with opponents that really know you inside and out. The Raiders can beat the Chargers. The Broncos can beat the Chargers, and nobody's going to be surprised because they're division rivals and they really know each other. And you play twice a year. And if you can't beat a Miami team, Chiefs. Exactly. And if you can't beat a Miami team, I mean, Miami's really good. I have them in the playoffs. I do not have the Chargers in the playoffs. So, I mean, that tells you why. And this is momentum going in my direction for Miami getting the wild card over the Chargers, which could be what matters in the end. If you finish with the same record, 10 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins, whatever it ends up, Miami has the edge on you already. And we know that, well, at least by our prediction, the Bills are going to win the AFC East. So Miami's going to be one of those wild card hunt teams.
I mean, from what I saw, though, if they continue to play like this, they're going to be really tough to beat, right? They're good on all sides of the ball. They can run the ball. Obviously, they can pass the ball. Their defense plays great. Defense had a really good game for Miami. 3 sacks on Justin Herbert. So, yeah, they're just going to continue to be premier. And the key is if Tua can stay healthy, right? We're going to end every sentence with if Tua can stay healthy, they have a chance to be the 1 seed. There's no doubt. All right, moving on here. We have Green Bay at the Chicago Bears. Jordan Love makes his debut and looked pretty good overall.
Yeah, this is eat my hat situation, isn't it? This one is the most wrong, or second most wrong, at least.
Oh,
Of
I wasn't
that
going to
we
mention
were.
it,
Oh
but since
no,
you're
I'm
bringing it
not
up,
afraid to mention it. Yeah, I said Jordan Love was a bust. I said he wasn't going to play. Listen, man, not that Chicago's defense is the top in the NFL by any means, but I picked Chicago to win this game. Obviously, the score is closer than it actually was. Green Bay routed them, and it was Jordan Love showing up, right? His
yeah,
best receiver didn't even play. He was Romeo Dubes, my guy
your guy,
Romeo,
yeah,
freaking 2
crushed it.
touchdowns in this game. And
Aaron
yeah,
Jones too, right? 2 huge
Aaron
catches.
Jones, yeah, just unbelievable. And the running back catching the ball, already having that chemistry with Jordan Love is important, right? And he showed it there. They showed it as a team. I still think they're going to lack in terms of being competitive when it matters versus the two better teams in the division and versus the NFC opponents who are going to be vying for those wild card spots. I do not have Green Bay in the playoffs. I had them finishing last in the division, but I think now they showed me they're better than what I was assessing them as. Jordan Love said, you know what, I can do this and I'm going to play like this against opponents. Again, divisional rival, always very competitive. And in this case, one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL. And he got up for this game. And, Justin Fields and them guys, they scratched and clawed and tried to stay in it. But I think we're seeing the holes that are still remaining in that roster with their defensive line, with their, defensive backs. It's still a work in progress on the defense.
Well, if you really break it down, this is a pick six. This game, the difference in this game was the pick six. If you take that away, it's a 1-point game, right? So,
yeah,
really, I thought Chicago hung in there. They got some new pieces. Justin Fields looked pretty good, right? Elusive with his legs. Looked pretty good in the passing game overall. But just they got to get over that hump, right? Putting up 30 points against a really good defense is no easy task. So little credit there. Or I'm sorry, it's 20. I have 30 on the screen here. But still, I think they have to get over the hump, and they'll continue to work that. They have some really good pieces on defense. They have a great defensive-minded head coach. So I think that will continue to go up for Chicago as well. Or you got to fire everybody and get a new quarterback. So
I don't think it's going that route. I don't think
Yeah.
it's going that route.
Yeah. All right, looks like this graphic's correct. It's Dallas at the Giants. That is a 0 by the Giants.
More like the opposite.
Yes.
It looks like it's incorrect based on just looking at it,
Yes.
but no, it's correct.
Yes. So yeah, Dallas was -3, and yep, that looks like Anthony by the Giants there. So yeah, I think
that's why
Dallas
that's the only
sharp,
reason Green Bay was the second most embarrassing, because wowza.
Yeah, this game was surprised right out the gate. Dallas, blocked a field goal, scored a touchdown, and it was just
Your
relentless.
division rival
It was relentless
at home. I mean, this is one of the biggest embarrassments in NFL history. I know it's only week 1. It might not have implications by the time the end of the season rolls around, but 40-0, and you looked. The Giants had the ball to start the game. This is the most frustrating part. The Giants are marching down the field. The Giants are looking efficient. It's Daniel Jones doing his thing, running the ball when they let him. They're like, okay, you want to bring 12 guys? Okay, yeah, I'll just walk my way for 8 yards then, because you're all coming this way, or you want to drop back? Okay, I'll take what the offense gives me. And what I texted my brother, who's a Giants fan, during the game, during that drive, after that drive ended with a turnover, right? With the botched fumble that Daniel Jones had to fall on, and then the blocked kick that got returned for a touchdown, and that was it. Game over. You had all of the momentum, and then they sucked the life right out of you. They should have scored a touchdown. They should have absolutely scored a touchdown. They made ultimate mistakes there. They got too cute, which is what I texted my brother. I said, this is a Brian Daboll offense that the Bills fans,
it looked a little predictable, right?
The Bills fans are very familiar with, right?
Yes.
Like, because it gets a little too cute. You're like, oh, no, take what's given, work what's working.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the plan was for Daniel Jones in this game, because it looked like a lot of design runs.
Yeah.
He looked a little too quick to take off, which is fine. He's a mobile quarterback, but you'd like to see him just step back there and sling it, right?
Yes.
Spread
And a
the
couple
ball around.
times
You have Darren Waller, get him
Ex-
involved early. We still saw that swing quarterback run, which we've seen a million times in Buffalo, and we saw it a million times last year. That Dallas knew exactly what that play was, right?
Yes.
You
And
know,
they didn't get, you're right. They didn't get Waller involved early, but they were also forcing it to him once they were down.
Yeah.
And Dallas was just ready for it. They just
right.
covered
Well,
him.
and Dallas was fast on defense. That's one thing that
Unbelievable.
really
Yeah.
stuck out to me. They are getting to the quarterback fast. They're getting
defensive
off the
line.
line way faster than the offensive line. But again, dump it down to Waller, dump it down to Barkley. And
Yes.
that's what it's there
Get
for.
the ball out quick. You
Oh,
have
man.
to. And
Yeah.
and let me tell you that Micah Parsons is without a doubt one of the best players in the NFL. Nobody's going to debate that. But there was a play that I was shocked, right? The offensive line pushes him back, gets good contact on him, pushes him back, and he just somehow transferred the momentum back in the other direction and ends up getting to Daniel Jones anyway. Literally did their job, pushed him backward. He takes 2 steps back and ends up 3 feet forward somehow. You know, it was just an incredible play. I've never seen anything like that because Micah Parsons is not the hugest human being. He's not Aaron Donald out there.
Right.
But he used every bit of himself to get to the quarterback. And what did they sack him 8 times or something? I mean, it was just horrendous from there.
Yeah, it was just
so again,
horrible
after
night
that
for the
first
Giants,
drive, they just lost it. There was nothing positive to talk about for the Giants and everything for Dallas. I mean, their defense was clicking on all cylinders. How many fantasy points did they put up? Probably more than the actual points in the game, which is pretty good. Yeah, it was just totally, absolutely lopsided. One of the worst losses in NFL history in terms of where we thought these teams were. This was supposed to be a competitive Sunday night game.
Yeah,
I stopped watching after the first quarter.
Yeah,
right?
well, it happens in the NFL, right? It just does. You get blown out from time to time, but 9-11 home opener, yikes! Yeah, that's bad. But luckily for the Giants, they're traveling to Arizona next week. Got a chance to bounce back. Now it's time to focus, right? It's a bounce back league, right? I've always believed that, so they get the opportunity to do that next week. So I don't think they're out of it by any means, but man, Dallas is looking pretty hot right now. So they'll continue to keep an eye on that.
But we know how Dallas operates too. They'll blow it when it counts, and then it's going to be tough for them.
Right. I mean, they'll look good until about the divisional round of the playoffs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And they'll make a stupid mistake and lose. And for some reason, they get no repercussions. Everyone's destroying the Bills, right? Yeah, their window's about to close. I think this is it for them. This is their last
Dallas
year.
Continues to march on. Yeah.
But Dallas makes the playoffs every single year and loses. Green Bay makes the playoffs every single year and loses. The Saints made the playoffs for fucking over 10 years.
Where's the Dak Prescott doesn't
Nobody
win,
ever said their window's gonna close, right? When you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, your window's always open. Tom Brady will tell you his most talented teams, they didn't win the Super Bowl, right? This is where I get confused with some of the analysts. It's like, okay, I mean, but look around the league. It's like a lot of good teams stay good when you have a franchise quarterback. For some reason, the Bills has to end. Their Super Bowl window has to end. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
as long as you're
all BS.
Yeah, as long as you have a chance to be in the playoffs, you have a chance to win the playoffs. Win the Super Bowl. And with Josh Allen, you're going to be in the playoffs every year. Right?
Absolutely. Well, you better be, certainly. Otherwise, something has gone terribly wrong. Yeah. Same thing with like in Aaron Rodgers' situation, right? Even at his end of his time in Green Bay, they were predicted to still make the playoffs. Now, we know it ended badly last year, but without that, everything else was expected MVP playoffs, right? Like that was the caliber of expectation. And Josh Allen is in that same camp. And yeah, I can't wait till kickoff tonight when we can silence the doubters.
Let's get out of here.
Silence the doubters. Yes. Let's get our thoughts on this game before, if you want. I know it's going to be over by the time most people see this, but we were
podcast drop Tuesdays, live streams Monday and Wednesdays. Be sure to tune in. But yeah, we'll talk Bills a little bit and see how
just general thoughts. The group. My final score prediction was 31-16. I think the Bills are going to come out and show everything that the haters are talking about. Right? They're gonna put them to rest, basically. Right? The Bills defense is getting disrespected top to bottom. Right? Aaron Rodgers and this Jets team. I've said it from day one. The schedule came out. I'm so glad we play them week 1. Why? Because they haven't had time to gel. They don't know what they're doing out there. I don't care about the preseason. This is a real game against real starters for 4 quarters. Okay, Aaron Rodgers has not built enough chemistry with those receivers, that offensive line to understand the communication level that they're going to need right on the field. And Aaron Rodgers is good at getting the ball out, but that Bills pass rush is going to be coming in dynamic ways with now Sean McDermott calling the plays. That Bills backfield is very good at coverage and is probably going to be ready to get the turnovers and the interceptions, right? So I think that's going to play into this. The Bills defense is going to play much better than people think. Now on the offensive side, the Jets have had Josh Allen's number in a couple of games over the last year, especially the last 2 games. But Josh Allen now has different targets. Who did they bring in? Guys with better hands, guys who can catch the ball, guys, who can do quick routes. That's what you're going to need against this Jets defensive line. Our run game is better. The offensive line is greatly improved to the fact where, I think James Cook is going to be able to show a lot in this game. The Jets are not ready for what the Bills are going to bring in. The Bills are consistent. We know what we are. The Jets have all of this pressure built up to show what they are, and they have to prove it. And they're not going to do it against Buffalo today. I just don't see that happening because the Bills have a lot to prove too, and they're going to just come out and it's business as usual, whereas the Jets are shaking in their boots to live up to Super Bowl expectations.
Right. And this is why week 1 is one of the most fun weeks, because you just don't know what Bills team are we going to get. Are we going to get the flat team that played against Cincinnati? Right.
I don't think so, because that's the last memory in their minds. Yeah. Remember that. The Jets, they don't have anything to come back.
One thing I can tell you is the fans for the Jets are excited.
Oh, yeah,
right?
They should
be. You can feel that when you're playing. And Aaron Rodgers, I agree with you. There's not going to be a lot of comfortability or familiarity in the offense, right?
And
that
matters.
Pieces, first time calling the protection, new offensive line. Mekhi Becton really hasn't played a lot, so I mean, just adjusting.
Weak offensive line,
sure, but
with the backfield guys again. You're off by this much. That receiver misses this much. Those guys are going to capitalize. Throw it at Micah Hyde and do that, right? Throw it at Jordan Poyer and do that. Throw it at Trey White and do that. It's not going to work out well for Aaron Rodgers.
But just to finish,
he's going to get his.
Aaron Rodgers, though, when he can call play on the field, just tell Garrett Wilson what to do. The guy just knows the game. He can play situational football.
Yes.
So, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be highly competitive. But the Jets do need time to gel. Agree 100%. But I just think they're going to be better than they were last year. Whether that's week 1 or not, we're going to see it. But, I feel like the Jets are a team that to be taken serious. And, they could come out and punch the Bills in the mouth and run Delvin Cook down the middle. You got 2 undersized linebackers who are, pretty good tacklers, but you can really test Terrell Bernard if you just run Delvin Cook at him.
I think they will
25 times.
But remember that even Cook has only been in this offense for 2 weeks. And is he fully ready to go? We don't know. He hasn't even been on a roster or anything. I'm sure he was working out and all that, but there's a lot of questions there too. Now, yes, I agree with the strategy. They're going to attack that middle linebacker spot because that's where the Bills have the most to prove.
Yeah, I agree. And
go Bills.
Josh Allen just got to be Josh Allen. We don't need sugar high Josh.
Yes.
Just play your game,
Yep. Get the ball out. Don't be afraid to get the ball out. And those receivers, I'm sure that's in the game plan for Buffalo. A lot of quick routes, a lot of getting the ball out fast, because that Jets defensive line is no joke. They're coming at you, right? So Josh Allen's got to be ready. And the receiving core's got to be ready, and I think they will.
All right, let's go turn it on. Be sure to tune in with us. Podcast drops tomorrow. Check out our live streams Monday and Wednesday. We'll have those podcasts ready for you Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tune in Thursday for our preview show. We'll get you ready for week 2. Anthony's going to dial up his best bets.
Woot, woot. We're 5-1 right now if you count the Thursday game. Yeah, 5-1 in my picks so far, and I have the Bills tonight. Hopefully we make it 6-1. We're already off to a red hot start.
Yeah, so on the way. Be sure to tune in, and thanks for kicking it with us.
Go Bills.